Hi everyone, I'm going to show you the basic interface that is used for matplotlib, which is the Python library that is used for plotting anything. There are other ones too, which you might use and find online. If you find those more useful, please use those. But most plotting in Python takes place using matplotlib, right? So now to share my screen. So here's our Jupyter notebook. we are going to use we are going to import it using this line saying that import matplotlib with pyplot as plt. So whenever we use this package, we're going to say plt dot something. I'm going to import numpy as np. X is equal to, so we need to plot something, right? So I'm going to make linearly separated points between 0 and 10, 100 of them. And I'm going to make a new variable called y, which is np.exponent of x. And I'm going to just plot this. And as expected, this is the most basic graph. This is with the most basic functionality. Um, Let me run this code along with you guys so that you see this happen in real time. The most basic graph, almost nothing to it, but you have what you need. The first exercise for you, please pause the video at this point, is to make a similar graph where you use a NumPy cheat sheet. In fact, you needn't even use a cheat sheet. This is pretty straightforward. Um, and just write the same sort of a thing over here. I hope this is pretty straightforward. And once you're done with that, we can move on to the next part. I hope you're done with that now, um, or at the end of the video, whenever you choose to do it. But I define y1 as np.cos. So this is just the cosine function. Y2 as sine. You can always see these using either the print statement or just by writing it down. So these are 100 data points of cos, right? You can plot the cos and sine function together in one graph but just by putting both of them together. One neat trick in Python that I've noticed and realized is that you can change the style by changing the default style. It has a few inbuilt default styles, but the one that I find I like is ggplot. So I just say plt.style.use ggplot. You can play around with this, maybe see different styles within this function and see if you like something else more. You can use that if you do. So this gives us this graph, which is your sine and your cos. But as you can see, this has got nothing to it. This is just two lines. And this is unpublishable. You can't use this in any communication with any human being. So you're going to have to beautify it and so on and so forth. And I want to just give you a sense of how you can beautify it and how you can make it look better. Um, Feel free to change this code if you ever use this in real life. But you are going to have to poke around a little bit yourself because there's no way I can talk about every single thing that someone does. So I plotted the same sine and cos. So y1 was my cosine. So by putting marker O, I made these circles. By saying line style is equal to none, I removed the line that was connecting it. So I plotted X and Y, put the markers this, remove the line style, and put a label to it. And this label is finally going to give you this thing down. Similarly, you can plot the other thing. This time I changed, I didn't specify a marker, so there's no marker. There's just a line style of double dash. Double dash stands for like a dashed line. Label is sign. I'm going to just put a title of plt.title, sign and cost, plt.xlabel. I mean, I'm just putting this thing over here. Input in radians, the value. I just called it the value, right? So I specified each of these things. And to actually get cosine and sine over here, you have to say plt.legend and it creates it for you. So most basic graphing should be handled using just this interface. This has been pretty useful for me. And for most quick graphs, I just do this. However, if you ever feel the need to do something more complex, you can play around with this. And I've also given you a few cheat sheets. Um, these cheat sheets are basically shortcuts and things that you can do to make it look a little better. It talks about the different plots that are there in it, and you can take time to go through this thing. Or you can just search on Google and find something on Stack Overflow. It's the website with question and answers. The thing about graphing is that there are a lot of similar patterns. Most people want similar graphs. So most probably someone would have asked what you're looking for. And it often you can get what you want by changing what's inside the plt.plot over here, or changing it using these things. One thing that's so this is going to be a basic plotting. This is going to help you through most of your career, I think. But obviously, things can get more advanced. I've I've given you guys a lot of cheat sheets. Please feel free to download them and play around with them. It's going to take, it's way beyond the scope of a small course like this. Um, and I think the way I have learned it, and it might be the same for you guys, just find what you need for the graph that you're trying to make and try remembering how you did it. And over time, you will just build, you'll get a sense of what are the important ones for you and for your kind of work. So as another quick test, I've asked you to create two functions. I'm just asking you to do basic modifications. So F1 should be dashed the same way as this. I want you to look at the cheat sheet, the one that I've given you, and or you needn't actually look at the cheat sheet. You can play around with this. So similarly to line style, I want you to define something called line width. So this made it thicker, but you can't see it. So now this is a lot thicker. But I want you to basically create this line width sort of a thing, increase the thickness of your width um, of F2. So make the line width thicker and just label nicely. So say what F1 is, say what F2 is, put whatever you want in your labels, create a nice title. I don't know what you're going to title it. Do something that makes sense to you. I'm not sure if you remember, if you recognize this functional form, but it actually is another function which is pretty easy, pretty neat, and label nicely. Just play around. Just, I don't know, figure it out. If you want to create a new figure, often you can, and this thing, for example, we've created both of them together in the same figure. Sometimes you might want to create a new figure, so you just use plt.figure, and that just works. So this creates one figure over here, this is another figure over here. I haven't labeled this, but feel free to label it if you want. Now, this is where Matplotlib often gets confusing, and a lot of people get confused. I was confused about this for a long time. The fact, basically, Matplotlib has two different ways of plotting, and both of them have their own advantages, and both of them are extremely similar. So just pick one of them and just learn how the other one sort of operates. You'll basically pick both of these skills over time. And it's very subtle, the differences, and it's important to know that these two things are slightly different so that you don't get confused between the two. So over here we've plotted everything using plt.plot, right? But what you can do is create an object using something called plt.subplots. It gives you a figure and an axis. So it's basically almost like, so it basically creates an empty plot and it gives you these two things. Now this axis object is what people modify, and the modification gives you your graph. So this is one example of that. So I'm going to plot the same thing y1. Um, oops. So I plt.plot of this, then I create a legend. Notice that the difference, that it's slightly different. I think I could have put label over here, but I specified labels over here so that you can get a difference in, just get like a different sense of what's happening. So instead of having separate labels for each of these plots, you can also put the labels over here. These are really specific things, but basically the reason I made it different over here is just so that you get a sense of the fact that it can be different and you don't get overwhelmed when you see something like this. So another thing that I want you to do, and you'll do this automatically during your growth as a programmer, as a coder, is to try and guess what certain things mean. So I see a code like this and I see loc is equal to lower right. Now loc might be location, right? My first guess is location, and lower right is probably on the bottom right. And I look at my legend and I see that it's actually in the bottom right. So I conclude that legend is being placed at the lower right, which is why I've just commented that over there. And remember that look inside the legend puts it in the lower right. Now this is see something that's so specific that you may not remember it, but it's useful to know that such things exist, because sometimes your graph looks great, everything's amazing except for the fact that your legend is in the wrong place. And you can go in circles and spend a lot of time figuring out how to change the legend. And it's normal. This happens to everyone. It happens to a lot of people who it's not just me, right? I might not know it well enough, but it happens to everyone because it's kind of just all over the place. Um, Now, notice the difference between the original PLT is that in PLT you'd say PLT dot title is cosine function, but over here I'd say AX dot set title. So it's different, right? Um, Similarly, in the PLT thing, you say PLT dot X label. Here you say AX dot set X label. Right? So it gets confusing. It was confusing for me because ax.label doesn't work. And ax, when it's created from plt.subplots, is different from the module object plt. So keep that in mind whenever you're coding. And then you'd say plt.show. This is plt.show is actually not that important. It just automatically does it in matplotlib. This is more important if you're using something like Spider. I just put it in so that if someone ever uses Spider or something, you might not get your graph. The reason you're not getting your graph is that you have to do plt.show. Now, why? I mean, if PLT works perfectly, why does someone ever use subplots to create a graph? And the reason is because subplots basically gives you um, such a figure. It gives you a figure with, say, 4 graphs. So I've created a subplot of 2 comma 2, which means 2 cross 2. Um, what I do with my first, so I index these similar to a NumPy array. So this would be 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. And for each of these, I use a similar interface to create my graphs. And it's important to control where exactly it's getting created. So this is how it gets created. What PLT basically does is it actually takes the last AX object and it just changes that. So it keeps track of what is the last one. So one demonstration of that, right, is I did a similar thing underneath over here where I define subplots 2 comma 2 and I make my 4 plots, right? So I'm not sure if maybe I should just go over all of them once. So x, y, we had defined y earlier as the exponent. So it creates the exponent. X, y1, um, you create a sign in the 1 comma 1 thing, which is right. Y1 was sine, y2 was cos. And I just created another one over here to show that you don't have to create a separate variable every time you're making a plot. I just said x star star 2, which is x squared, and it just plots x squared for the values between 0 and 10. So 10 squared is 100 and 0 squared is 0, right? So these are your 4 graphs with their own legends and so on. I just wanted to show that plt.legend in the end doesn't really give you the legend that you'd want. It creates only the legend for the last one. So as a quick exercise, so this is the last exercise for the NumPy video. If you haven't seen that video, then it's okay because this says everything that you have to do. Basically, create 100 equally spaced points, add some noise to it by adding 100 random points, add x and y together, which x is the first one and y is the second one. So plot and save in Z, and then plot x and z and stylize. So as an exercise, as a challenge, and I'm not sure if we can do this in just the workshop, you can just plot the basic interface, which is using this plt.plot sort of stuff, and then do another one using plt.subplots because you might find that useful. And you might also just come across a lot of Stack Overflow and Google based help that uses subplots because some people just prefer subplots and stick to subplots all the time. I just know both because I've just spent more time in Python and I'm kind of comfortable with the language. But it was very confusing because the AX object is different from the PLT object. And the things that you do with the axes, AX is the axes object, is that you set title, you set X label, you set, and you change these things using these set functions. This is an artifact of object-oriented programming. It's because, I mean, that's beyond the scope of this video. But basically, in object-oriented programming, you use set functions to change the internal values of variables, and that's what you do in this thing. So I hope you find this not too complicated and quite straightforward and helpful. Thank you.